I considered it a lesbian book, and I considered it a female book. We didn't use the word queer in that point in time. I don't think that was, when did queer, I'm thinking of Queer Nation. I don't know, it seemed it was early, and it was also reflecting on an earlier time too. Though I think what's weird is that I feel like I kind of squirted some of my little secrets in it. Like, I think there was ways in which I kind of talked about feeling wrongly gendered and male. I mean, it's funny. It's just like, sometimes I forget what is in which book, but I mean, like, if I were to translate through current terms, I absolutely felt queer, and the queerness of how I felt, because I think the thing that's interesting is that every decade seems to offer new ways to expand or describe or hold your own sexuality, because I think I didn't want to be gay, and I resisted. I fought the good fight when I was younger and tried to be straight and did what that felt like. And then I thought, oh, I guess I'm a lesbian. And it wasn't that lesbian entirely fit, it was just what there was, and the definition of lesbian in the 70s was very woman identified. Butch femme was wrong. You couldn't do, we didn't do gender then. It was like, that was, and then, within, by the 80s, suddenly we were doing, gender roles, and it just, then it became sex roles and tops and bottoms, so it's just been completely, I think every time the culture shifts and there's new information, there's also new permission to write about yourself or experience yourself or describe yourself differently, because it always seems like what the language we have is behind the experiences we have. We're ahead of the language, I think, Yeah. I think it's just more, well, it's strange. What's strange is that there was, like, say, there were so many bars for lesbians and women, and there was a huge amount of local investment. There were bars, there were restaurants, there were coffee shops. There was a whole world for what we'd call queer females then. And there were newspapers, there were businesses. It was really, there was a lot. And I think there was some female wealth coming into the city, plus real estate was cheaper. And, like what's now Chelsea, in the most fashionable part of town, in the 70s and 80s was like a kind of a loading dock full of pink former mail trucks that distributed queer newspapers, a company basically run by women that I worked for. That was, we called it Majority News, and we went around to newsstands all over the city delivering queer and gay male porn and rock and roll magazine. I mean, it's just like there was, so that even though it was supposedly a more kind of separate community, there was so much space in that separate place, and that was really interesting. And so I think now it's just like there's much more, like an outward evidence of queerness and transness, and and it's like, now, now started about 20 years ago, but if I wanted to see people that I considered my queer community, I would go to an art opening. We used to go to specifically queer spaces, and I think that was the accomplishment of the third wave of feminism, even that suddenly it was culture. Suddenly that was the meeting place, and not places that were separately about who you were sexually, and who you wanted to meet. So it's interesting, but it's just like, but there is a loss of those private spaces, which were really fun and abundant, I don't entirely, I've gotten into some real fights, as one does on Twitter, around, and have been accused abundantly of transphobia. I'm not sure if I was using, I mean, I was using they, them then, but I'm not sure I even, whether it was in my bio or not, but I think it just, there still are huge generational divides. I think I was in support of Hillary Clinton, you know, and when I said, I remember somebody, younger queers saying things about, they weren't going to vote for somebody just because they had a vagina, you know. And I remember saying, I'm very much interested in somebody being in the White House who has a vagina, you know. It's like there has not been a vagina in the seat in the Oval Office yet, and that's, you know. And then there was a lot of like a lot of accusations of being transphobic at that time because of the particular way I front loaded the word vagina, which, you know, which is still, I mean, we have a Supreme Court judge right now who has said that that is a disgusting word, you know. I mean, so it's just like, I think that the vanguardism of that word, I think needs to be revisited, you know, and what it, I mean, because these are part of, I didn't really regard myself as a second wave feminist, but there are aspects of it, of course, that are in my work and are in me, you know, because there were freedoms to be won, you know, that I think aren't in the memories of people who are considerably younger than me, you know. So I don't know. I think it's even difficult with friends of mine because it's harder to tell your friends who you've known for 30 and 40 years that you don't want to be called her now, that you wanted to be called they, them. You know, it's like even my therapist, you know, it's like, you know, slowly, I mean, my girlfriend, you know, uses they, but it's like so many of my old friends don't remember, even ones who use they themselves don't remember, you know. And it's a question of how much you police. And I think policing isn't I mean, I'll remind people at junctures, but I think that for me, the radical nature of changing my pronoun is that I'm really acknowledging in an outward way an inward thing that I've been feeling for a very long time about who I am, you know. And I, you know, and I obviously, I think when I talk to people who, you know, when I talk about the choice, I think that it's important in that I support friends who have gotten married, whether they're straight or gay or queer or whoever they are. I support people's choice to have kids, to not have kids, to change their names, you know, and all these identity moves are important. So I think this is the one that I've chosen at this time, and it seems enormous, you know. And I think too, I mean, I think generationally, I think it's unique. I don't think I know another person. I have a friend who's sick. Anyway, I don't know of anybody else my age who has taken they, but I'm sure there are plenty. It's just, I don't know them, you know. I don't know. I'm not sure. I mean, I know it was in the air, and I know that friends of mine were reading it, but I don't know that I had read Butler, you know. But I think that Butler, you know, but Butler comes out of a community that I'm in, and I don't think, you know, I don't think the thought wasn't something that I experienced or that we all knew in some way, you know. I mean, it's, you know, it's, you know, it's a dynamic thought about who we are and how we put ourselves together, you know. And what I love too is that it, you know, it dispenses in some way with such terms as like coming out, that it sounds as if there's one moment and you just had a birthday and now you're somebody else, and that this is an endless process of revisiting and becoming, and, you know.